Hi guys, so today I'm gonna make a small batch of Christmas tamales and I'm gonna try to cook them in my Cosori Pressure Cooker so they'll be done in like 25 minutes instead of hours. So we're gonna see how this goes. Now to start off this tamale recipe, I'm gonna take my pork roast and I'm gonna add it to a big pot, and then next I'm gonna go ahead and add in some onion, a few cloves of garlic, and then I'm going to add some salt, pepper, a little bit of oregano, and some onion powder and garlic powder. Now after that, I'm going to go ahead and fill it with water. You want to make sure your meat is fully covered. And then we're going to bring this to a boil. You're going to put a lid on and you're going to let this simmer for a couple of hours, you guys. You want this to be nice and tender and fall apart, so it's going to take some time. So pop a lid on it and just go ahead and do your housework. And then a couple of hours later, you'll have this tender, juicy, fall apart meat that is so good. So now for the broth, you don't want to throw that broth away because we're going to use this broth in our masa and our red chile. So just go ahead and strain this broth and set it to the side. Now here's my roast after I shredded it. Just want to shred it up and try not to eat it all. So the next step is our red chile. You want to take some dried chili pods. These are the El Guapo brand, New Mexico dried chilies. And they look like this. They're dehydrated. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and rip that top off, that stem, and all the extra seeds. And then we're going to put these in a pot and we're going to bring it up to a boil and turn it off. We're going to let these steep until they're rehydrated. Now here I'm also going to throw in a few ancho chilies. As you can see, there's a big difference in the way they look. The ancho is a little bit smokier. I like the smoky taste, so I'm going to use a few of those also. So like I said, we're just going to take our chiles and we're going to put it in our pot. We're going to pour some water on top. You want to push them down underneath the water. And then we're going to bring this to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, you want to turn it off. And then we're going to add our lid on. And we're going to just let these steep for a few minutes until they become rehydrated and nice and soft. After they're nice and soft, we're going to take our red chilies. We're going to put them in the blender. And then we're going to add in some garlic. Some onion. And some cumin. And then we're going to add in some of our pork broth and a little bit of water. And then we're going to blend this until it's nice and smooth. Now once it's nice and smooth, we're actually going to strain it. Just move it back and forth, and as you can see, all the liquid comes out. And then now you have a beautiful red chile sauce. Now you do want to take about a half a cup of the chile and save it because you're going to need it for your masa. So next we're just going to go ahead and add our meat to this sauce. Now here I'm just adding a little bit more seasoning. It wasn't seasoned how I liked it, so I added in some more cumin, onion powder, garlic powder, salt and pepper, you know, just season it how you like it. Now to make the masa for our tamales, we're going to need a bag of Maseca flour, that beautiful broth from our meat, some salt, baking powder, a little bit of canola oil, some Manteca that's been melted in the microwave, and a little bit of that red chili sauce. Now to start off, we're just going to go ahead and add our Maseca corn flour, our baking powder, and our red chili sauce to our bowl. And then we're going to give that a slight mixing. I will have to mix this by hand, but I'm going to just start off mixing it with a spoon. Next, we're going to go ahead and add in our manteca and our oil. And then we're going to start to add in our broth from our meat. I'm going to switch to my hands here in a second. Now with this, you really want to work this dough. You have to really work it in. Next, we're going to go ahead and add in our salt, and then we're going to get to really mixing this dough in. You really want to mix that dough. It's going to take a few minutes, but you want to get it nice and soft. The consistency you want is, you want to be able to pat it and it not stick to your hands. You want it nice and soft, and when you pat it, you don't want it to stick. Just like that. Now for the corn husk, you want to soak them in hot water until it becomes nice and pliable, and then you want to kind of sit them up so it can drain. You don't want to work with the wet corn husk. The masa will not stick to a wet corn husk, so you want to make sure they're nice and dry but still pliable. Now there's a smooth side and there's a rough side to the corn husk. You're going to apply the masa to the smooth side, so think of that side as the inside and the rougher side is the outside. You may have to take a paper towel and dab it. You just want to make sure it's nice and dry, and you're going to take a small ball of the masa and you're just going to press it into that corn husk on one side. You want to keep it all to one side. You want to make sure it's nice and flat and not too thick. And then you're going to add your meat down the middle. Depends on if you like a lot of meat. I don't like a lot of meat in my tamales. But then you're going to simply just roll it. And then where you end, that crease is going to be the front of the tamale. So you kind of want to mold it like that, push down on it, not too hard. And you're going to fold that backwards. You're going to fold the tail in backwards. I'm going to show you again. Just want to take that masa and push it down on one side. Put your meat down the middle. Flip it and roll it. If you have extra husk, you can just rip it off. And you're going to take that tail and flip it in. So here I have my Cosori Pressure Cooker. I already did a video on this. They sent it to me for review. I'll leave the link to that video below and the link to this pressure cooker. I really love it. But like I said, I'm gonna make them in this because they'll be done in like 25 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some water to the bottom of the pot. I'm gonna add in my steaming basket. I won't be able to steam them all at once, but 25 minutes and 25 minutes, that's still an hour to cook a bunch of tamales. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay my tamales in on top of the steaming basket. Put the pot in the cooker, lock the lid on, and then you're going to use your manual setting. Now I cooked these for 30 minutes. That was way too long. The first batch I cooked entirely way too long. So you want to make sure if you have thin tamales, cook them for about 17 minutes. But if you have thicker tamales, maybe shoot for about 25, 27 minutes. Not 30, that was way too long. And then when they're done, you're going to use the quick valve release. And then you're going to open the lid and you'll have some beautifully steamed, delicious smelling tamales. But like I said, 30 minutes was a little too long for this first batch. The next batch I cooked maybe about 20 minutes and they were delicious. But yeah, you guys, this was a new recipe that I found on YouTube and it was pretty good. You guys should definitely try it out. And if you have a pressure cooker, you can make tamales in about 25 minutes, girl. So easy and so good. Yum.